Now let's move on to the next section. Create a contract that means NFT. Okay, now copy the code and just paste it here. Okay, here are many things in it. Let's see the description. First you'll see inherit an open Zeppelin contract. Here it is. We are importing open Zeppelin contract and then inherited it here with the is command. So it's import all the functions from the parent contract. The NFT standard is known as ERC21, which you can read a bit about here. You can read about the NFT standard that called ERC21. Here it is, so you can read it. Uh, Open Zeppelin essentially implement the NFT standard for us and then let us write our own logic on top of it to customize it. Open Zeppelin basically provides us uh, us smart contracts that we can just uh, inherit, import it and inherit in our base contract, so we get all the functionality from it. So uh, that means that we don't have to write the boilerplate code, uh, that how uh, some functions work, so we don't have to rewrite everything. We just can do it by importing it. So basically it's, yes, it's really crazy to write HTTP server from scratch without using a library, right? Of course, unless you wanted to explore, but we just get up running here. So if we don't want to create a use the open Zeppelin, then it's same like creating HTTP server from the scratch. uh, so it's better to use the open Zeppelin library, though it gives you all the functions that required to mint an NFT. Similarly, okay, open Zeppelin is not just let's say not, not just limited to NFT. You have many things you can read about it. Okay, similarly, uh, this is the GitHub page. This is a contract page of ERC, and this is basically a open Zeppelin library. You can install it. Okay, now let's move on and see the code step by step. Okay, token ID, new item is equal to token ID inside the make an epic NFT function. Here it is. This is the first line. Let's remember the Picasso example. He had 100 NFT sketches named like sketch 1, 2, 3, 4. Those were unique identifier. Same thing here. We are using token ID to keep the track the NFT unique identifier. and it's just a number. It's automatically initialized to 0 when we declared private token ID. So when we first call make NFT, new item ID is 0. When we run it again, new NFT will be 1, and so on. Token ID is a state variable, which means if we can change it, the value is stored on the contract directly. So it's basically track the NFT numbers, that how that it will just give NFT a number that which is going to mint. So we have a track that on which number which NFT is minting, and we also have we can also can save the sender ID against it, so we know which which user have that particular NFT. Okay, now, and it's basically a token ID is a state variable. Here we have defined it. uh, so it's basically a token, basically a state variable. So it is it will going to save on a blockchain, even if after the execution, if we call it again, then we get the last state. Now let's move on to the function save underscore mint. It's pretty much saying mint the NFT with ID new item to the user with the address and sender. So it's saying that mint that NFT with that ID for that user, the user one that called this function. So let's move on. What awesome here is this is a super secure way to get the user's public address. Keeping the public address itself a secret isn't an issue. That's already public. Everyone sees it, but by using message center, you can't fake someone else's public address unless you had their wallet credential and call a contract on their behalf. You can't call contract anonymously. So in blockchain and smart contracts, you can't call the function anonymously. You have to connect to some wallet to call the function. So that's where user wallet ID will track easily. Okay, then do set underscore set token URI new item, which will set the NFT unique identifier along with the data associated with the unique identifier. It's literally us setting the actual data that makes the NFT valuable. In this case, we are getting it as blah, which isn't that valuable. It's also not following a standard of ERC20. ERC20 will cover token ERE more in a bit. So it's basically set this function will set a URI that what will going to be meant, actually meant the image, or anything, any string on chain string or anything like that. So right now we have just enter a test data, so we will replace it with actual data. Let's see. Okay, after NFT minted, we increment token ID using token increment. Here we have increment that token ID. So now we have the number that uh, the NFT on 0 is minted. Now we will move to the second ID, the user, and now we're going to call the function, will get the second NFT. Okay, now let's move on to token URI running locally. The token URI is where the actual NFT data lives, and it usually linked to a JSON file called the metadata, like something this. Okay, so token URI will have a URL uh, that will going to uh, pass from this function token URI in place of blah. Uh, so you can customize this, but almost every NFT has name, description, and link to something. Uh, the token URI metadata have name, description, image, then have attributes and many things in it. But this is the basic structure: name, description, and image. The URL image is a URL of the actual NFT image that we have. Okay, now let's move on. This is all part of ERC21 standard and sorry, etc. It can even have custom attributes on it. Be careful with the structure of your metadata. If your structure does not match OpenSea requirement, your NFT will appear broken on the website. So that's the basic structure, metadata structure that OpenSea is providing us. So we have to follow that structure in order to create that metadata. Okay, this is all part of ERC21 and standard. It allows people to build website on top of NFT data. So these standards, metadata standards, are all part of ERC21. For example, OpenSea is a platform to view the NFT, and every NFT on OpenSea follows the ERC21 metadata standard. So OpenSea is a marketplace where everyone can upload their NFTs, and everyone can see their NFTs. So they are following ERC21 metadata standard, which make it easy to people to view their NFT and upload their NFT. Imagine if everyone followed their own NFT standard and structured their metadata. However, they wanted it to be chaos. If everyone is using their own standard of that metadata, like if I write title or mini description or IMG, then it will be very difficult for OpenSea to read it and then show the data accordingly. So that's why the standard here is ERC21 metadata standard that will make sure that every data that put into uh, that set here should follow this format or this format in particular. Okay, now let's move on. We can copy this that JSON metadata and paste into this website. Okay, copy it, paste here, and now save it. Okay, now this website is just an easy place people to host JSON data, and we'll be using it to keep our NFT data for now. Once you click save, you will get a link to JSON file. For example, mine is JSON keeper run. Be sure to test your link and be sure it looks good. Now they have I have uh, put that data. Let's put it again on data and then save it. As I save it, I will get that URL that I can put in the browser to see how it works. It is, yes, it is, yes, it's showing correct JSON. Note, if you love to create your own JSON metadata instead of just copying mine, your own image name description, maybe you want your own NFT to be an image to your favorite anime character, anything, you are not bound to use this name description and image values. you can use your own also. Okay. Okay, if you decided to use your own image, make sure URL goes directly to actual image, not to a website that hosts an image. Direct image URL link look like this. So the image URL should be the direct image URL, not your website URL. Okay. Now let's move on and just replace this with your URL. Okay. Okay. And just add a line. So it will just display us that an NFT has been minted. Okay. Now let's mint an NFT locally. Copy this file and paste it here. And now you can see that we are calling the function make epic NFT, and we are calling it again. So we are calling it 2 times. Now let's run it to see how it works. Let's just copy it and just paste it here. Okay, so no, something is wrong here. Okay, we did save the file. Now let's run it again. So we should have seen these lines here also. Okay, okay, yes, great. So we have put in 2 files: NFT contract, contract deploy, the contract address, and these are the two minted files. Okay, okay, we have just put in NFT 0 locally to ourselves, so we know that the code is working and nothing is crashed. Awesome. You always want to use run.js to just make sure stuff is working locally and not crashing. It's your own little playground. So right now, every time someone mints an NFT with the function, it always the same NFT will run in the coming section. How actually change this up such that every person who mints an NFT with you will get a random unique NFT. Now let's move to the next step, deploying to a testnet. Till now we have seen how we can deploy the how we can mint an NFT locally, and right now we are just calling one file, so everyone we are getting the same NFT every time. uh, Now let's move on to the next section, that is uh, deployed to Coldly and OC on OpenSea.